Hello, how you doing? We are playing Final Fantasy 14, almost at 11, and we are continuing the side quests of Endwalker. And yeah, here we go. How long must I wait? Oh, forgive me, I was just thinking out loud. I made plans to meet my paramour, you see, but the time of our rendezvous has long passed. As a member of the Forum, his work keeps him ever so busy, even more so than usual in recent days. Still, he promised he would put some time aside for me, for us. I don't suppose your wanderings will take you anywhere near Nukthorpe's site today, will they? I need someone to check if he's there. I will stay here, just in case. Oh, excuse me. Thank you ever so much. My tartly sweetheart is an Ori man, brown hair, serious mien. Should you happen to spot him, pray convey the state of my rapidly mounting impatience. If we are so if we are to efficiently supply the requisition request for the cleaners and no time for mistakes. But I thought of Square Quill. Where did you spring from? She grows tired of waiting. I'm not sure Oh gods, that was today? I was so engaged with my task that I must go to her immediately. And you must be rewarded for this service. Come along, please, quickly, now quickly. Well, my sweetheart finally arrived thanks to your gentle reminder. He looked so exhausted from his labors, however, that I sent him home to rest. I had a feeling he would be at no front sight. They say that spur of rock was where the infamous Archon used to sit when he had matters to meditate upon. My habitually late love holds Nymphrix in great esteem, both for his role as the founder of Charlian and the ark he built to save people from the floodwaters of the sixth Sunboro calamity. Thus, I have an inkling of where to look when the appointed time of our tryst has passed. In any case, I should go and be with him whilst we still have some spare moments to enjoy. Oh, but I mustn't forget your reward, a little token of appreciation from the two of us to you. Man, I would not trust this fourth. Ah, I've seen you around Newman as of late. You're the adventurer, yes? I've been meaning to seek you out. I believe I have a task rather suited to your abilities. We've recently added a set of volumes procured from the great Google Library to our collection, but no sooner did we set them in the stacks than did a student handle them without taking their proper precautions. A spell was activated that apparently was meant to prevent their theft, causing all five of them to go scurrying. Yes, scurrying off to God knows where. They are quite ordinary in their current state, and I'm afraid few of us are suited for combat. For you, however, Lurk should be a simple enemy to best if it comes to that. As I said before, 5 volumes are skulking about at present. I prepared a solution that should calm their rage somewhat, but they may require a few knocks on the spine before you can carry them safely. Would you be so kind as to collect them for us? Thank you, and Godspeed. Any up here? Any sneaky ones up here? Oh, it's like a mimic. Book is chomping at the air as if to ward off anyone from coming too close. Use the powder prepared sleep, but keep watch for your fingers. The book is slumbering peacefully, at least it appears so. Did you manage to collect the books? I hope they didn't have you running about for too long. Ah, yes, this is all of them. Thank you, adventurer. These were quite the precious finds, and it would have been a shame if they jumped off a cliff or somewhere else equally as precarious. I see among them was a restricted tone. I'll have a word with the student who recklessly caused the whole incident. Although he has been chastised plenty already, you can be sure. Unfortunately, this isn't the first of its kind. Books protected by this manner of ward must only be handled with gloves woven from the self-same grass I used to make the sleeping powder. If we don't take such measures, the books will crumble from age and the elements within a few generations. It's one of the very first lessons we teach students, but there's one almost every year who fails to listen. We've recently seen an influx of students requesting volumes pertaining to the exploits of the Science of the Seventh Dawn and their progenitors, the Circle of Knowing. Curious indeed. Oh yeah. Oh, my love, my light, where have you gone? I am nothing without you. Oh, I didn't see you there. Absorbed as I am in my research, I've lost track of my mammoth, you see. A key asset of my research into the many mysteries of ether. I must have given her an erroneous command, or perhaps even jilted her. She is gifted with such a sensitive heart, you know. In any case, it has been some time since she left her for her task. Please, can you assist me? Oh, thank you, thank you. I sent her on an errand near the last stand, so you would do well to begin your search there. Her aura is unmistakable. Keep an eye out for her elegant figure and imperious demeanor. Ah, wait. You see before you a mammoth most striking, and you can see why its owner is so taken by with it. It's a little alpha note thing, I think. Yeah. Return it before you're unable to resist the compulsion to keep it for yourself. Come back to me, my princess, my queen. Come back to me. This is her. Oh, it's Alize, my enchanting mammoth, and not a single scratch upon her beautiful visage. Words cannot express how happy you've made me. I commissioned this masterpiece from a gleaner and had it modeled after the woman who has captured my heart from afar. With the aid of a tome written by Archmagus Quan, I constructed my own device to control it remotely. However, it seems there are yet some kinks to be hammered out. Alas, a heart enraptured is prone to such mistakes. Details are easy to overlook when the whole world is your oyster. I must clear my head and redouble my efforts. Thank you once again for your help today. We won't soon forget you. My fairest of ladies, would you believe today I espied someone even fairer than you? Why, none other than whose visage you share. I can die this day happy forever. Ah, you look the sort who's out and about, performing various feats of daring do's and so forth. Why, the scent of the outdoors is practically wafting from you. Perhaps you've heard of the competition being held in the city. Designers from across the region submit designs of academic uniforms, and the winner will be worn by none other than the members of the forum. The chosen designer becomes exalted among their peers. Even a lowly student can have their name said in hushed whispers across the studium. I would have such fame for myself. I believe my concept might be just the thing to help win it. I have an image in my mind of a rustic scholar, one who enjoys the open air of wilderness as much as the musty air of the library stacks. In fact, I have already prepared an initial design that looks to fit your frame perfectly. Would you try it on for me, that I might see if it conveys the message I have in mind? Splendid, splendid. Well then, we should find an area where you will be free to move as you believe. Please, I believe tranquility should be just the locale we require. Come, come. Yeah, level 80. Alright. This appears to be a suitable spot. Spacious sunlight. Now try the robes on for size, although I'm somewhat certain they'll fit perfectly. However, I'd like to see how easy it is for you to perform feats of heroism. Swinging your weapon up and down, grinning devilishly, things like that. Show me the battle stance you adventurers are so famous for. Yo. Was I not at the destination? Ah, yes, you look ready for a grand adventure under the sun. I believe these robes shall be well suited to both the lectern and the open fields. Now I'd like to test the fabric's breathability. Work up a bit of a sweat for me, will you? A friend of mine needs the delivery done, and who better than you to do it? Please bring this crate here to Kekamo at the confluence. It's a bit of a trek, but you look up to the task. Am I going the right way? Man. Easy. Ah, a member of the forum here. I mean, welcome to my humble laboratory. What did you need, madame? Oh, you gave me quite the fright. You should be more aware of the effect that such robes have on people here, students and professors alike. Of course, I'll accept these crystals most gladly. That being said, pray inform the student who gave them to you that she should do her own work from now on, regardless of what experiments she may be conducting. Crystals are much appreciated, but I worry that the student doesn't properly understand the value of doing her own work, all because she wanted you to sweat, you say? You better let me go. Oh, you son of a bitch. Alright. Well, I worked up a sweat. Welcome back, my adventurous assistant. I take it the crystals were delivered without incident. I see. Tecmo can scarcely get through a single conversation without giving her unwanted advice. No matter, when my robes are chosen, I wager she'll treat me with the respect I deserve. You don't appear to be flushed, so I take it the robes were light enough to allow somewhat physically taxing duties. However, I would like to examine them closer for any signs of wear. Could you return them to me? Thank you. My masterpiece draws one step closer to perfection. Functionally, it appears that I'm right on track. Now, I must refine the design so that when the members of the forum behold it, they can think of nothing else but to wear them for years to come. Of course, I didn't mean to leave your coin purse empty after all this. Return to where we first met, and I shall bring you your reward. Apologies that I could not give you more than this, but you understand that the life of a student isn't one of luxury. When my name is heralded throughout the halls of the studium, however, I'll be certain to share with you the windfall that will surely come my way. Until then, there, 82. Okay. Still, it's just one level away. You there, from some distant and exotic land, yes? I require a fresh perspective for the next step in my research. If you have a few moments to spare, do not worry, nothing too complex will be required of you. I am planning an introductory class that will educate younglings on the practical applications of etheric energy, and I seek opinions on the lesson plan. With any luck, I shall strike a spark which ignites a lifelong love of learning and curiosity. Considering my lofty goals, I welcome honest feedback, even if it isn't entirely positive. Will you help? Thank you, my eager student. Together, I dare say we are building the future. Pray visit my colleague in tranquility, a burly Bulgarian fellow. His imposing frame belies a brilliant mind. What are you on about, Hastamon? That simply is not. Wait a minute. Aren't you one of the heroes who saved our star? Why, it's a true honor to meet you. Ah, you must be the help Passerman sent word about. Are you ready to begin your education? Firstly, observe the object next to me. No mere rock. It is an experimental apparatus designed to simulate the movement of ether through the environment. Through it, I intend to demonstrate how crystals are formed. Now, the next order of the day is to use this explosive to destroy this device. Do not be afraid, your extremities are safe, I assure you. Point blank, bitch. Very good, very good. Did you enjoy yourself, little one? Now, you have your very own crystal. Aether flows all around us, an invisible energy that nourishes all things. When a physical object self-suffices with ether is destroyed, it releases the energy contained within it into its surroundings. Some return to the environment, but some remain in the physical realm. Thus, our crystals form. In simple terms, they are the physical manifestation of Aether, frozen in time. Simple enough to understand, yes? I've heard those words before, but never in that order. Ah, is that so? Any Charlene youngling could recite those facts from memory. However, I may not always have the luxury of teaching such cultivated minds, as today has demonstrated. Yes, we must be more thorough with our explanations, so thorough that even the unlearned would have no trouble understanding them. Thank you for your frank opinion. Sometimes an outside point of view can illuminate otherwise unseen faults. You have given us much to consider. As for the matter of my compensation, my colleague is in charge of that. Please return to him and receive it. Aha. There is my bushy-tailed student. Was the experiment to your liking? Children are ever so fond of explosions. Your payment? Oh yes, of course. Besides whatever knowledge you gained today, free of charge, mind you, take this. And of course, you're always welcome to join us after I've revisited my lesson plan. My colleagues tell me you are none other than the hero of Eorzea. Do you have any interest in pursuing higher education? Even the world's savior might learn a thing or two from our lectures. What's this about? Oh, okay. Neat. Level 90. A quest that doesn't have any help. Ah, that's blown the cobwebs away. Time to return to work. Goodness me, look who it is. How incredibly serendipitous that I would run into you of all people. I was part of a team which designed the Ragnarok, you see. We've recently begun the process of combing through the vessel's flight log data. The primary objective of your journey to Ultima Thule was to save our star and countless others, of course, but it also provided us with an invaluable trove of information, records of places and events we could only dream of. Your safe return gave us much to be thankful for. As it so happens, one of the things we pulled from the log was a transmission of unknown origin, something the ship must have intercepted during its flight. We believe it to be an audio message, but even our most talented linguists have been unable to decipher the language. For a while there, it seems we must accept defeat, but today may be the day that we finally solve the mystery. If you were so inclined, would you care to come to Thumizen? It seems fitting to have one of the Ragnarok's original passengers present to hear the history being made. Ah, there you are. This is where we're to meet the engineers from Garland Ironworks, who I am told potentially hold the key to unlocking our mystery transmission. They should be here along at any moment. Sorry, we're late. We had some trouble finding the right gods. Is that you, yo? Hey. Yes, the woman herself. I ran into her at the harbor and thought if anyone deserved to hear this message deciphered, it was Yosan. No argument here, but bugger me if you don't have a knack for being in the right place at the right time. This actually has more to do with you than you might think, so please do stick around. Shall we pick up from where we left off then? As I was saying, we think this transmission the Ragnarok intercepted is a message of some kind, albeit in a language entirely alien to our ears. Alien being the operative word here, considering we received the message out in the great expanse, its origin was likely some distant star. Unfortunately, our list of off-world allies is presently rather short. Thus, we were resigned to the fact that the meaning behind the message will remain beyond our understanding. One of my colleagues, however, refused to give up. She remembered the Ironworks engineers who had been so helpful in the construction of the Ragnarok and turned to them for insight into our seemingly impossible problem. Do you know what Wedge said when he heard what was going on? We should have Omega listen to it. I bet it can tell us what the message means. Not the Omega you be in the Rift, of course. He's talking about the toy that trundles around with Alpha, the little model we made. We originally designed it to follow a chosen target and not much else, but I've seen it act in ways that, well, it's like it has a mind of its own. Then I got to thinking about those documents you lot sent the chief, the full report on the final days. In the part about Omega's civilization, it said their people discover how to convert the mind into data and store it outside the body. Timing being what it was, I wonder if Omega didn't somehow transfer its consciousness into our model right before you put an end to the real one. So, in an effort to get to the bottom of that, as well as to take a crack at this indecipherable message, we decided to make some modifications. With the help from Labyrinthos technicians, we've upgraded our Torre Omega with a fully functional vocalizational module. We played the transmission for Omega, and I think it's ready to share. Alpha. Are you in there, Omega? Affirmative. If by Omega you're referring to my consciousness rather than my entire former chassis existing inside this considerably smaller frame. Prediction. You will formulate several misconceptions. These I shall preemptively dismiss based on the following facts. 1. Vocalization module aside, this chassis remains unmodified from the design constructed by the engineers Biggs and Wedge. I evaluate its combat capabilities to be on par with a mortal infant. 2. The mechanism which allowed me to perform an emergency transfer of my consciousness was installed in my previous body. With the destruction of that body, I am rendered incapable of replicating such a feat. Should this current material form be destroyed or cease to function, all cognitive awareness or presence I possess will also be lost. Conclusion. I present no threat to you or your star, nor do my projections indicate the necessity to inflict harm. If the fraction of a moment before my annihilation of the rift, I re-examine my directives. If I am to fulfill my purpose of an evolving construct, then I must continue my journey for improvement for as long as I exist. I must acquire this heart of yours, this strength of soul. Well, there you have it, and it's not wrong about its combat capabilities. It'd be more likely to take damage itself than the thing it was trying to attack. But let's not forget the reason we brought you here in the first place. What about the transmission they played for you? Could you recognize the language? Affirmative. It was transmitted in Pan-Galactic Basic. Pan-Galactic Basic. A common language in comparatively extensive uses throughout the worlds we have conquered. Which means you can finally tell us what the message said. That is the language you understand, yes? I understand it perfectly. I am fluent in over 6 million distinct dialectical codings. My cooperation in this matter, however, is conditional. Elaboration. Your chief Sid utilizes the floor as part of his unorthodox filing system, which allowed me to scan the report on the final days. I am aware that my home star, the one you call Alphatron, was obliterated in the aftermath of Sir and Medion's meeting. The existence of Dynamis has not previously factored into my projections, but I now comprehend the concept in theory. What fails to compute is why the Omicrons were not immune to its effects. Dynamis should have no influence on a race which possesses no heart. And yet, Seer expressed to Medion a desire to cease existing. Illogical. I must pursue this anomaly further until full equation becomes clear to me. I must analyze all the elements of the final days and deepen my understanding of the heart's intangible properties. To expedite this process, I require an external interpretation of those sections of the report which continue to reproduce errors in my calculations. I like how Alpha sleeps. I request the assistance of Yosun as one who experienced the ravages of ultimate despair on multiple fronts and displays immeasurable heart in engineering my defeat. She is the optimal choice to fulfill this role. So we either agree to your conditions, or you tell us nothing. I'm sorry to put you out of a spot like this, Yo. If you have the time and the patience to spare, we'd be grateful if you could hear Muratori's demands. As Alpha dozed off, I suppose the subject was a bit technical. Rouse yourself, Alpha. You must listen and consider these matters, even as I must. Why don't we make a trip out of it? You know, actually visit the places that things Omega wants to ask about. It'll make explaining stuff easier, for one, and also keep Alpha awake and alert. What a remarkable development. Biggs and Wedge told me much of your encounter with Omega before we began, and now that we have the Omicron's weapons talking, there are so many questions I'm simply dying to ask. Back when we were first exploring our options, we did actually consider playing the transmission to the inhabitants of Ultima Thule. The problem is, we would be dealing with the beings recreated through dynamics. Their communications is based on emotional energy. Anything lacking that vital component would likely fail to register. That rules out a recorded message, and so we focus on the resources we had to hand, never dreaming that the solution would all but fall into our lap. Omega has been an outright terror to us in the past, but it's almost strange how little it frightens me now. It helps that it's trapped inside of that tiny model, of course, and that it follows Alpha around like a puppy. But most of all, I remember the chief telling me how much it sounded like a lost child there at the end. I bet the chief won't see this one coming once he gets over the shock, though. I don't think he'll want us to destroy Omega. Nero, on the other hand, he'll want to use the model for some dangerous experiment. In fact, maybe we should put off making a report for now. I see you have chosen the mutually beneficial option, logical. Setting aside the matter of Seer, there are three elements of the report on which I desire clarification. The first of these concerns the progression of the final days in Radzad Han. I recognize no pattern in those who succumbed to the transmission and those who did not. That's a bit of a trek if you wanted to chat with the locals. How about we lend you an airship? We do not require such outmoded technology. Yo's teleportation spell is the most effective option for long-distance travel. This chassis is a model, essentially a toy, and Alpha, despite its organic composition, is indistinguishable from a stuffed doll. In conclusion, we qualify as material possessions. Pick us up and you can teleport the three of us to our destination. Ooh. Okay. Sensors indicate we have arrived in Radzad Han. Objective identify factors for resilience to involuntary transformation. Hypothesis: unaltered survivors of the final days will display significant strength of heart. Confirming this theory will require the cooperation of life subjects. Where is the ward designated for residential habitation? Understood, comma. Set our sub-coordinates. Please take the lead and select the subjects we are to interview. This body has no advanced navigational or geoscanning functionality. You must lead the way. Are you a traveler? Please, if you have a moment, I could use an outsider's perspective. You see, I was one of those who thought to escape the madness plaguing the world by fleeing to the moon. Not that we ever went in the end. So here I am, recently returned from Charlene, except now things are strained between my sister and I, since she chose to stay and I chose to leave. I asked her to help me find work, and she suggests I look somewhere that isn't Thavnir, as if I wanted to abandon my home. Ugh, it makes me so angry. Your point is unclear. You elected to relocate to the star's satellite, thus your relative now perceives you in a negative light. Your sibling's judgment is in error, based on the information made available to Hananish citizens. Your decision to withdraw to the moon was both logical and correct. Conversely, the decision to remain at Razan despite the low probability of survival defiles explanation. Perhaps your reasoning pathways are faulty. That's right. I'm not quite sure what you're saying, but I'm right, aren't I? Or so I'd like to think. The problem is, I understand why my sister feels this way. I almost decided against going myself. Even then, I wasn't sure that leaving behind everything I loved was the right choice. And with the way it all turned out, I know, I should be having a talk with my sister. I'll go see her once I get through my thoughts in order. Thank you for listening to my troubles. Oh, hello again. You're the one who came to ask me questions about cows. I'm glad to see you looking well after all that unpleasantness. I remember the burning skies and the screams, but truth be told, I'm still confused as to what actually happened. I only know it wasn't unusual for entire families to go missing. Many of my neighbors' houses lie empty even now. Kalza's place is one of them. He had no close relative to speak of, and I heard that it was members of the consortium who came to remove his belongings. What a terrible thing to have to do. Terrible. Kalza's passing was recorded in the report. Clearing out his domicile and re-editing it for new habitation seems an appropriate and reallocation of resources. Dear me, what a clever little contraption, but of course I'm not against making use of his quarters, that would be wasteful. It's simply that Kazo was always such a vigorous person. All that passion, all those dreams suddenly gone. I feel the same sorrow for everyone who was lost. Seeing the remnants of those vibrant lives packed away in boxes, that is what I mean by terrible. That awful end of days business almost brought an end to Kazel's consortium. It's heartening, though, watching those survive work to carry on his legacy. Maybe it's time I put aside my own grief and did something to help. Hey, didn't I know you? Yes, after the beasts were taken care of, you told me to join everyone in the square. Thanks to you, I was there when Vitra gave his speech, and I found out who Varshan really was. It's a shame we don't get to play like we used to, but Mama says Vitra has been putting the city back in order. Maybe I can work for him one day, when I'm a man grown. Vitra. Midstorm's offspring, yes, and this child wishes to put himself at the worm's command that he might make his own contribution to society. A pattern emerges. I predict the heinous survivors are those who had ingested Vitra's blood and become his draconic minions. Though dragons were no match for our civilization's might, their combat capabilities are not to be underestimated. It is unlikely they would experience emotions of dread or uncertainty as exhibited by lesser beings in times of undue stress. Dragons. I'm not a dragon, and I never ingested anyone's blood either. Ew. You are not a Vitra's horde, so you possess no hidden means to fight off the beast. What a fear, then. You were frightened? Yes, I was frightened. I just hid and hoped they wouldn't find me, at least until she told me it was safe to come out. Yo, I require a moment to process this input. Let us move apart and discuss our findings. I see. Processing data. Evaluating hypothesis, accumulated evidence. I offered an optimal analysis of each subject's testimony, yet each time their response conflicted with my assessment. Without identifying the root cause of this conflict, I will be unable to properly define what constitutes strength of heart. Perhaps the heart you seek lies in the conflict itself. Hey, how you doing, guy? An interesting observation. It is possible my base criteria is an error, in which case it is imperative that I continue the learning process and repair any fundamental misconceptions. Next, I wish to interact with an individual who endured similar circumstances to Kazdal's prior to his transformation. Are you acquainted with the local merchants who had dealings with him? Giovanna of Ruben Fibers, acknowledged, sub-destination set. How are we doing on time? Oh, it's been an hour. This is quite the quest. Alright, well, I'm gonna call this episode here. Thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.